The warm spit hit Ashalago's cheek before the insult even registered. She staggered backward into the Chanel display window, luxury gift boxes tumbling around her as she lost her balance, her designer shopping bags scattering across the polished marble floor. For a heartbeat, the entire Seoul Grand luxury mall froze in stunned silence. Ashalago looked up from where she'd fallen, saliva sliding down her brown skin, at the man standing over her, with disgust carved into every line of his face. Vado, her ex-fiancé, the monster who destroyed her life 3 years ago. Still pathetic, Vado sneered, loud enough for the holiday shoppers to hear. Still begging, still trying to look like you belong. Whose man are you leeching off now, Asha? Which fool's credit card did you steal? He had no idea who she was anymore. No idea that the broken, abandoned woman he remembered, the one who'd sobbed on the hospital floor when they turned her away, the one who'd slept in subway stations with $11 in her pocket, the one who'd lost their twin babies because she couldn't afford prenatal care, was dead and buried. No idea that she'd clawed her way out of that hell. No idea about the black diamond on her finger worth more than his new car, the penthouse overlooking Namsan Tower she'd woken up in that morning, or the unlimited platinum card in her Birkin bag. And Vado definitely had no idea about the man whose last name she now carried, the man whose security team was currently closing in from every corner of the mall, the man whose private number was now ringing in her trembling hand. Kang Yurazumaki, her husband, Seoul's most feared underground king. As Ashalago's shaking fingers swiped to answer, and Kang's deadly calm voice asked, "Who touched you, Yobo?" she watched the color start to drain from Vado's arrogant face. The security guards around them had gone rigid. The mall manager was running toward them, panic in his eyes. Vado had just spit on the wrong woman. And in approximately 7 minutes, when Kang's motorcade of black SUVs roared into this mall's underground parking, when Seoul's most dangerous man walked through those golden doors with his army of suited shadows, Vado was going to learn a lesson about power and consequences that would annihilate everything he'd built. But he didn't know it yet. Right now, in this crystalline moment surrounded by Christmas lights and horrified onlookers, he still thought she was nothing. That delusion was about to shatter along with his entire world. Before we dive deeper into this story of vindication, love, and the deadly price of disrespect, I want to thank you for being here. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications. Your support means everything, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Before we go further, I want to wish you all a blessed and magical Christmas season. May your holidays be filled with love, joy, and beautiful moments with those who matter most. Now, do me a favor by subscribing to the channel now and turn on notifications. Your support means the world to me. Now, let's watch Vado's world burn. Ashalago woke to silk sheets and the scent of jasmine tea. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, Seoul sprawled beneath her like a kingdom waiting to be claimed. The penthouse was silent except for the soft hum of the city 43 floors below, a far cry from the subway tunnels where she'd once hidden from winter's bite. She reached across the bed instinctively. Empty. Kang had left hours ago, but his presence lingered in the precisely folded note on his pillow. Shopping today. Take Juno and Min. No arguments. K. Ashalago smiled despite herself. 3 years of marriage, and he still gave orders like she might disappear if he looked away too long. The weight of protection. In the marble bathroom, she caught her reflection and paused. The woman staring back wore a silk robe that cost more than her entire life used to be worth. But her eyes, those still carried shadows. She traced the faint scar on her abdomen, the one the emergency room doctors had left when they tried to save her babies. Failed to save them. She pulled her hand away and turned on the shower, letting steam fill the space. By the time she emerged, Breakfast waited on the terrace. Fresh fruit, pastries from the French bakery Kong owned 3 floors down, and her favorite ginger tea. She never had to ask. He always knew. Ghosts in daylight. Ashalugo picked at a croissant, her appetite thin. She still couldn't waste food, couldn't throw away even a stale piece of bread. The habit of poverty clung to her like perfume, no matter how many zeros appeared in her bank account. Her phone buzzed. Kang's face filled the screen, all sharp angles and that dangerous intensity that made grown men stutter. "You're eating," he said. "Not a question. You're watching the security feeds again. Always." No shame in his voice. "Juno will be there in 20 minutes. The mall. Christmas shopping. You wanted to go." She had mentioned it once casually 3 days ago. He remembered everything. Calm. "No arguments, Yobo." His voice softened, just slightly, the tone he reserved only for her. "By whatever makes you smile. The world owes you that much." After he disconnected, Ashalugo sat in the golden morning light, surrounded by luxury she still didn't quite believe was real, and tried to silence the voice in her head that whispered she didn't deserve any of it. She had no idea that in 3 hours, her past would walk back into her present and force her to finally believe she did. The mall gleamed like a cathedral built to worship excess. Crystal chandeliers dripped from vaulted ceilings, and Christmas decorations worth more than small cars adorned every surface. Ashalugo moved through the crowds with Juno and Min trailing 10 feet behind, close enough to protect, far enough to let her breathe. She'd insisted on that distance. Kong had reluctantly agreed. The boutiques blurred together in a haze of gold and glass. She bought gifts mechanically. Something for Kang's sister, his business partners, the household staff who treated her like royalty despite knowing where she'd come from. They all knew. Kong had made sure of it, daring anyone to whisper a word against her. No one had been that stupid yet. The first glimpse. Ashalugo was examining a cashmere scarf in Hermes when she saw him. Vado. The world tilted sideways. 3 years collapsed into nothing. Suddenly she was back in Chicago, 8 months pregnant, and screaming his name as he walked out with her grandmother's jewelry box. Back in that hospital corridor, hemorrhaging and alone, watching nurses turn away because her insurance had lapsed. Back in the subway station, holding her empty belly and wishing she'd died with her babies. He looked different. Expensive suit, designer watch, the kind of confident stride that came from money and success. A beautiful woman clung to his arm, delicate, polished, everything Ashalugo had never been allowed to become. "Vato, darling. I forgot my wallet in the car." The woman pouted. "Be a dear." He kissed her forehead with practiced charm. "Anything for you, baby." Ashalugo's hand tightened on her shopping bag until her knuckles went white. The past bleeds through. She should walk away. Turn around. Leave. Go home to Kong and the safety of their fortress. But her feet had forgotten how to move. 3 years ago, Vado had promised her the world. He'd held her when her grandmother died, sworn he'd take care of everything, that she and their babies would never want for anything. Then he'd emptied her bank accounts, pawned her grandmother's heirlooms, and vanished the night she'd needed him most. She'd called 47 times from the hospital. He'd never answered. Their twins had died at dawn. Ashalugo blinked. And she was back in the present, standing in a luxury mall, wearing a dress that cost more than Vado used to make in a month, and he was walking directly toward her, his eyes scanning the crowd without recognition. He didn't even remember her face. That should have hurt. Instead, it made her stand taller. Vado nearly walked past her. His eyes skated over Ashalugo, like she was part of the decor, just another well-dressed woman in a sea of luxury shoppers. Then he stopped, backed up 2 steps. His head tilted, confusion creasing his features. "Asha?" The name came out uncertain, almost disbelieving. Ashalugo. She said nothing. Her voice had abandoned her, trapped somewhere between her lungs and her throat. His confusion melted into something uglier. Recognition brought contempt, not shame. It is you. Wow. He laughed, the sound sharp and mocking. Look at you. Playing dress up now. Juno shifted closer, but Ashalugo raised one hand slightly. Not yet. Vado. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. I didn't expect to see you here. I bet you didn't. His eyes raked over her dress, her bags, the diamond earrings Kong had fastened in her ears that morning. Let me guess, you found yourself a new meal ticket? Some desperate fool who doesn't know what you really are. The escalation. People were starting to stare. Phones were emerging from pockets, cameras angling for the perfect shot of whatever drama was unfolding. I don't want trouble, Ashalugo said quietly. I'm just shopping. Shopping. Vado stepped closer, his cologne overwhelming. The same scent he'd worn when he'd kissed her goodbye and stolen her future. With what money, Asha? You were broke. Pathetic. Sleeping in your car, last I heard. You heard wrong. Did I? His voice rose. Or did you do what desperate women always do? Spread your legs for the first man with a wallet? Is that how you afford Hermes now? The words hit like physical blows. Ashalugo felt herself shrinking, felt the old shame trying to crawl back into her skin. She saw Juno's hand move toward his earpiece, saw Min's jaw tighten. You don't know anything about my life, she managed. I know exactly what you are. Vado's finger jabbed toward her face. A leech. A parasite. You probably told him the same sob story you told me, didn't you? About your dead grandmother. About needing help. About being alone. He laughed bitterly. I was stupid enough to believe you once. I actually felt sorry for you. You felt sorry for me? The words escaped before she could stop them. You robbed me, Vado. You took everything. I took what I was owed. His shout echoed through the atrium. For putting up with your neediness, your crying, your constant problems. Security guards were moving closer now, but they seemed uncertain, caught between intervening and staying back. Ashalugo's hands trembled. Our babies died because of you. That's not on me. Vado's face twisted with disgust. That's on you for being too poor, too weak, too useless to take care of yourself. The mall had gone silent. You're still the same, worthless. Vado shoved her. Ashalugo stumbled backward, her heel catching on the decorative edge of a display platform. She fell hard, her palms scraping against marble, shopping bags scattering. Christmas ornaments rolled across the floor like scattered jewels. For a moment, she was back in that hospital, on her knees, begging security not to remove her, begging nurses to check on her babies one more time, begging a god who hadn't answered. Stay down where you belong, Vado snarled, standing over her. Then he spit. The warm saliva hit her cheek, slid down her jaw. The world crystallized into that single moment. The humiliation, the cameras recording, the crowd gasping. And Vado's face twisted in satisfaction. Juno moved like lightning, yanking Vado back before he could do more. Min was already at Ashalugo's side, helping her up with careful hands. 3 more security personnel materialized from nowhere, forming a protective circle. Don't touch me. Vado struggled against Juno's iron grip. Do you know who I am? I'll have you arrested. Sir, please come with us. A mall security guard appeared, voice shaking slightly. We need to file a report about the assault. Assault? She's the criminal here. Check her bags. Probably stole half that stuff. The worst memory. Ashalugo couldn't hear them anymore. She was somewhere else entirely. The hospital corridor. 3 years ago. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The nurse's apologetic face. I'm sorry, Ms. Ashalugo, but your insurance has lapsed. We can't continue treatment without payment. Please. Her voice breaking. Please, my babies. I understand this is difficult, but hospital policy. They're dying. Can't you feel them? They're dying inside me, and I can't. Security guards lifting her by her arms, escorting her out despite her screams, despite the blood running down her legs, despite everything. Sitting on the curb outside the emergency room at 3 a.m., calling Vado's number for the 47th time. Voicemail. Again. The cramping. The agony. The knowledge that her babies were slipping away, and she was helpless to stop it. By dawn, the silence in her womb was deafening. The call. Ashalugo's hand found her phone. Her fingers were shaking so badly, she nearly dropped it. But she managed to pull up his contact, managed to press the call button. One ring. Yobo. Kang's voice, warm with affection. Calm. Her voice cracked. I need you. The warmth vanished instantly, replaced by something lethal and cold. Where are you? What happened? Seoul Grand Mall. She touched her cheek where the spit was drying. I ran into. Are you hurt? The sound of movement in the background. Doors slamming, voices shouting orders. He spit on me. The words came out small, broken. Vado. He found me, and he. The line went silent for 3 seconds that felt like eternity. When Kang spoke again, his voice was death itself. Don't move. I'm coming. The moment Ashalugo ended the call, the atmosphere in Seoul Grand Luxury Mall transformed. It was subtle at first, security guards touching their earpieces, receiving messages that made their faces go pale. The mall manager appeared from nowhere, practically sprinting across the atrium in his expensive shoes. Juno's phone buzzed. He answered, listened for 3 seconds, then his entire demeanor changed. Military precision replaced casual watchfulness. Ma'am, please come with us to the VIP lounge. His voice was respectful, but firm. Security protocols. I'm fine here, Ashalugo said, still dazed. Mrs. Kang. The title made several nearby shoppers freeze. Your husband insists. The penthouse suite. Now. Vado's confusion. Meanwhile, Vado was being escorted to the security office by 4 guards who'd appeared from nowhere. They weren't rough, but they weren't gentle either. This is kidnapping. Vado shouted. I'm the victim here. That woman is a con artist. I'm filing a police report. Of course, sir, the head of security said smoothly. We just need to review the camera footage first. Standard procedure for all incidents. Incidents? She fell on her own. I barely touched her. They led him into a sterile office with monitors covering one wall. A perfectly dressed woman sat behind the desk, her expression neutral. Mr. Wellington, please have a seat. Can we get you anything? Water? Coffee? I want my lawyer. Vado dropped into the chair, pulling out his phone. And I want that woman arrested. I'm afraid we'll need you to stay until we've completed our investigation. The woman's smile never reached her eyes. Mall policy. I'm sure you understand. Vado didn't understand. Not yet. But he would. The mobilization. Outside, the mall's underground parking garage was clearing. Security personnel were redirecting traffic, cordoning off an entire section. The manager was on his phone, his voice pitched with barely concealed panic. Yes, sir. Yes, we have the individual contained. No, sir. Mrs. Kang was not seriously injured. Yes, sir. We're reviewing all footage now. In the luxury wing, shoppers were being gently but firmly encouraged to move to other sections. Unexpected maintenance, they were told. So sorry for the inconvenience. Ashalugo sat in the VIP lounge, Min standing guard at the door, Juno coordinating with someone over his earpiece. She'd been given ice for her scraped palms, offered tea she couldn't drink, wrapped in concern she couldn't quite process. She touched her cheek again. The spit was gone, wiped away by Min's offered handkerchief, but she could still feel it. Could still see Vado's face, twisted with hate for a woman who'd never done anything but love him. Her phone buzzed. 6 minutes, K. Ashalugo closed her eyes and waited for the storm. The sound reached them first. A low rumble that built into a roar. Engines, expensive and powerful, echoing through the underground garage. Then the screech of tires as 6 black SUVs took the turns too fast, too aggressive, announcing their arrival like a declaration of war. Kong Urizumaki emerged from the center vehicle before it fully stopped. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than Vado's monthly salary, every line tailored to perfection. But it was his face that made security guards step back, sharp features set in an expression of such controlled rage that the temperature seemed to drop. Behind him, 12 men in identical dark suits and sunglasses fanned out with military precision. No one spoke. No one needed to. The mall manager practically threw himself at Kang's feet. "Mr. Kong, sir, we have the situation completely under." Kong walked past him like he didn't exist. The crowd in the main atrium parted before him, like the Red Sea. Whispers rippled through the space. "That's Kong Urizumaki." "Oh, my God, is that really him? Who did they piss off?" People pulled out phones, but Kang's men were faster. A gesture here, a quiet word there, and cameras disappeared back into pockets. This wasn't going to be recorded. Not officially. Kong reached the VIP lounge in 90 seconds. The door opened before he could touch it. Juno, smart enough to get out of the way. Ashalugo stood as he entered. She'd wiped her face, straightened her dress, tried to compose herself. But the moment she saw him, her carefully constructed walls crumbled. "Yobo." Kong crossed the room in 3 strides. His hands cupped her face with devastating gentleness, tilting her head to examine every inch. "Where did he touch you?" "I'm okay." "Where did he touch you?" She showed him her scraped palms, pointed to her ribs where Vado had shoved her, touched her cheek where the spit had landed. Something flickered in Kang's eyes, something ancient and terrifying that had nothing to do with civilization or mercy. "His name," Kong said quietly. "Kong, please." "His name, Ashalugo." She'd never heard him use her full name like that. So soft, it was almost a prayer. So deadly, it was a eulogy. "Vado Wellington," she whispered. Kang's hand moved to her cheek, his thumb tracing where Vado had defiled her. When he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of absolute certainty. "He won't leave this building whole." Then he turned to Juno. "Bring him to me. And I want everything. Financials, family, associates, dirt. I want his entire life laid bare in the next 10 minutes. Already compiling, sir." Juno held up a tablet. "He's in Security Office B, unaware." Kang's smile was a beautiful, terrible thing. "Let's educate him." Vado was mid-sentence, threatening legal action for the 3rd time, when the door to the security office opened. The woman behind the desk stood immediately, her face draining of color. The guards by the wall stiffened to attention. Even the air seemed to change, charged, dangerous, promising violence. Kong Urizumaki walked in like he owned the building. Because Vado would learn in approximately 30 seconds. He did. "Who the hell are you?" Vado demanded, still operating under the delusion that he had power here. "I'm in the middle of filing a complaint against." He stopped. The man who'd entered wasn't listening. He was studying Vado the way a surgeon studies a tumor before cutting it out. Behind Kong, more men filed in. Too many for the small space. They lined the walls, silent and synchronized, creating a human cage. "Vado Wellington." Kang's voice was conversational, almost pleasant. That made it worse. We need to have a conversation about your choices. I don't know who you are, but Kang Urazumaki. He let the name hang in the air. Vato's face went slack. Everyone in Seoul's business circles knew that name. You didn't cross it. You didn't even speak it without respect. There's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. Kang moved with terrifying speed, crossing the room and lifting Vato by the throat, slamming him against the reinforced glass window. Vato's feet left the ground, his expensive shoes dangling uselessly. The truth revealed. You put your hands on my wife. Kang's grip tightened. You spit on the woman I worship. Give me one reason I shouldn't drop you 4 stories right now. Your wife. Vato choked out. That's impossible. Asha is nobody. She's. Say her name wrong one more time. The pressure increased. Test me. Vato's face was turning purple. Kang released him just enough to breathe. He wanted Vato conscious for what came next. 3 years ago, Kang said, voice dropping to something intimate and lethal, you stole $47,000 from Ashalugo Park. You took her grandmother's jewelry, worth another $30,000. You forged documents to access her insurance policy and cashed it out. $16,000. Vato's eyes widened. You abandoned her 8 months pregnant. You let our phones ring while she hemorrhaged in a hospital corridor. You let her twins, my wife's children, die because you were too much of a coward to face consequences. How do you? I know everything. Kang's smile was arctic. I've known for 2 years. I've been waiting for this moment. Waiting for you to be stupid enough to touch her again. Juno appeared at Kang's shoulder, tablet in hand. Sir. His financials. Show him. The revelation. The tablet screen lit up with Vato's banking information. As they watched, accounts began freezing. Investment portfolios locked. Credit lines disappeared. What are you doing? Vato's voice pitched toward panic. That's $2.3 million gone. Kang checked his watch. In the next minute, your fiancé will receive a package. Photos of the 3 other women you've defrauded. Bank records. A police report from Chicago about a theft investigation that was mysteriously dropped. You can't. Her father is Senator Morrison. He'll see the same package. So will your father's business partners. Kang's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. She just opened it. Your engagement is over. Vato's phone erupted with calls. Text messages flooded the screen. Please. Tears streamed down Vato's face. Please, I'll do anything. I'll apologize. I'll pay her back. You think money fixes this? Kang leaned in close. You think anything fixes spitting on what's mine? He released Vato, letting him crumple to the floor. Your life ended the moment you touched her. You just didn't know you were already dead. Kang stood over Vato's sobbing form, checking updates on his phone with the casual interest of someone reading the morning news. 12 minutes, he announced. Your father just issued a public statement disowning you. Apparently, he's known about the embezzlement for months. Couldn't have his reputation tarnished. Vato looked up, mascara from tears streaking his face. My father wouldn't. He would if evidence of tax fraud in his company appeared on the prosecutor's desk. Kang's associate held up another tablet. Which it did. 7 minutes ago. He's choosing his business over you. Smart man. Another phone notification. Kang's expression didn't change, but something satisfied flickered in his eyes. Your business partners are terminating contracts. Apparently, moral turpitude clauses are enforceable. Who knew? Stop. Vato crawled forward on his knees. Please stop. I'll disappear. I'll leave Korea. You'll never see me again. Oh, you'll disappear. Kang crouched to Vato's level. But not the way you think. The social crucifixion. Juno turned a monitor toward them. Social media feeds scrolled past. Twitter, Instagram, Korean forums. The mall footage was everywhere despite Kang's men confiscating phones. Someone had live-streamed the beginning before being shut down. The narrative was already written. Wealthy businessman assaults and spits on woman in luxury mall. Victim revealed to be wife of Seoul's most powerful figure. You're trending, Kang noted. #1 in Korea. #7 worldwide. Congratulations. The comments were brutal. Vato's face, his name, his company, everything dissected and destroyed in real time by millions of strangers. 15 minutes. Kang stood, straightening his cuffs. Police will be here in 8. They'll arrest you for assault. Battery. We have 17 witnesses and 43 camera angles. Your lawyer, the expensive one, just dropped you as a client. I have other lawyers. No, you don't. I've contacted every reputable law firm in Seoul. You're toxic. Untouchable. Kang's voice was clinical, detached. You'll get a public defender who's overworked and underpaid. The trial will be swift. You'll be convicted. Vato's phone continued buzzing. His fiancée, his father, friends who suddenly didn't know him, business contacts blocking his number in real time. The final blow. But the criminal charges are just foreplay, Kang continued. The civil suit Ashalugo will file for emotional distress, for the death of her children due to your negligence, for theft that will take everything you have left. The settlement will be public. Millions. I don't have millions. You will work the rest of your life to pay it. Garnished wages. Seized assets. You'll die in debt, Vato Wellington. You'll die knowing that you destroyed yourself the moment you decided my wife was beneath you. Kang checked his watch one final time. 23 minutes. That's how long it took to dismantle everything you built. You spent 3 years thinking you got away with destroying her. I spent 3 years building a cage around you, so perfect. You never saw the bars. He walked to the door, then paused. You had everything and chose to spit on someone helpless. Now you have nothing, and you just spit on someone untouchable. Learn the difference. The police sirens were already audible in the distance. The penthouse was silent when they arrived. Kang's men had cleared the building, giving them privacy that felt sacred after the chaos of the mall. Ashalugo walked through the door on unsteady legs, the adrenaline finally draining from her system, leaving exhaustion in its wake. She'd watched Vato's destruction from the VIP lounge monitors, watched him beg and cry and crumble. She'd felt nothing, no satisfaction, no vindication, just a hollow ache where her anger used to live. Yobo. Kang's hand found the small of her back. Bathroom. Now. She didn't argue. Couldn't. Her body moved on autopilot, following him through their bedroom to the master bath with its walls of marble and gold fixtures that still felt too luxurious to be real. Kang started the shower, adjusting the temperature with careful precision. Steam filled the space, fogging the mirrors, creating a cocoon of warmth. Then his hands were on her shoulders, gentle but insistent. Arms up. He undressed her like she was made of glass, the designer dress carefully removed, the jewelry set aside with reverence, every movement deliberate and tender. When she was bare, he guided her under the rainfall shower head. The water hit her skin, like absolution. Kang stepped in behind her, still fully dressed, his expensive suit soaking instantly. He didn't care. His hands found her face, tilting it toward him. Close your eyes. She obeyed. His thumbs traced her cheekbone, the one Vato's spit had violated. He washed it with soap that smelled of lavender and honey, his touch so gentle it made her throat tight. That's gone now, he murmured. He's gone. His hands moved to her shoulders, washing away the memory of Vato standing over her. Down her arms to her palms, cleaning the scrapes with antiseptic care. To her ribs where she'd been shoved, his fingers ghosting over the bruise forming there. I should have killed him. Kang's voice was barely audible over the water. Every instinct I have screamed to snap his neck. Why didn't you? Ashalago's eyes opened. Because you're worth more than his death. His forehead pressed against hers. Because making him live with what he's lost, making him spend every day knowing he destroyed himself, that's the revenge you deserve. Ashalago's composure finally shattered. Sobs racked her body, 3 years of grief pouring out in gasping waves. Kang held her upright, his arms iron bands around her waist, taking her weight without hesitation. I couldn't save them, she choked out. My babies. I couldn't save them, and it's my fault. No. Kang's voice turned fierce. Listen to me, Ashalago. Listen. You didn't fail your children. The world failed you. He failed you. The hospital failed you. But you survived. You crawled out of hell on your hands and knees. And you lived. I'm broken. You're a survivor. He pulled back enough to look at her, water streaming down both their faces. Do you know what I saw 3 years ago? When my men found you in that subway station. She shook her head. I saw a woman who'd lost everything and still had the strength to open her eyes each morning. I saw someone who'd been destroyed and was rebuilding herself one breath at a time. I saw the woman I wanted to spend my life protecting. His hands cupped her face. You were never damaged goods, Yobo. You were surviving a war. And now you're thriving. Anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve to breathe your air. I knew about Vado, Kang admitted quietly. From the beginning. I've had files on him for 2 years. Every crime, every victim, every dollar he stole. I've been waiting. Waiting for what? For him to give me a reason. Kang's smile was dark. For him to be stupid enough to touch you again. To show his face in my city and think he could walk away unscathed. Ashalago stared at him. You've been hunting him. I've been building a cage, so perfect he never saw it closing. Today he walked into it voluntarily. Kang's thumb traced her lower lip. I would have waited 10 years if I had to. 100. He was always going to pay for what he did to you. The shower had gone cold, but neither of them moved. I love you, Ashalago whispered. Even when I think I don't deserve it. You deserve everything. Kang kissed her forehead, her temple, her lips, and I'll spend the rest of my life proving it. Ashalago woke to sunlight, and the sound of her phone vibrating continuously. Kang was already awake, propped against the headboard with his tablet, monitoring something with that intense focus he brought to everything. What time is it? Her voice was hoarse from crying. 9 a.m. You slept 12 hours. He set the tablet aside immediately, his attention shifting to her completely. How do you feel? She took inventory. Sore. Bruised. But lighter somehow, like a weight she'd carried for years had finally lifted. Different, she said finally. Kang handed her phone to her. You're going to want to see this. The screen was flooded with notifications. Her private Instagram, which she rarely used, had gained 200,000 followers overnight. Twitter was exploding. News articles in Korean, English, Japanese, Chinese. But it wasn't the coverage of Vado's arrest that dominated. It was something else entirely. Hashtag Queen Ashalago was trending worldwide. She scrolled through posts, her heart hammering. People sharing their own stories of abuse, of survival, of clawing their way out of poverty. Messages of support from strangers around the globe. Artists creating illustrations of her, a black woman rising from ashes, crowned in fire. They know your name now, Kang said quietly. They know your story. I made sure the details were released properly. Your homelessness, Vado's theft, your twins. The truth. You told them everything? She should feel exposed. Vulnerable. Instead, she felt strangely free. You have nothing to be ashamed of. I wanted the world to know what you survived, what you overcame. A video was pinned at the top of her mentions. She clicked it. A young black woman, maybe 19, speaking directly to the camera with tears streaming down her face. I've been homeless for 6 months. I thought I'd never get out. But if Mrs. Kong can survive what she survived and build the life she is now, maybe I can too. Thank you for showing us it's possible. Ashalago's vision blurred. There's something else. Kong pulled up a news article. I may have made an announcement on your behalf. You can veto it if you want. The headline read, Kong Ashalugo announces foundation for homeless mothers in memory of lost twins. She read the article with shaking hands. $100 million endowment, prenatal care, housing, job training, legal aid. Everything she'd needed and never had. Named after her babies, the twins who'd never drawn breath but had never been forgotten. Kong. It's your foundation. Your mission. I just provided the funding. His hand found hers. You'll change lives, Yobo. You'll be the hand reaching down that you needed 3 years ago. She couldn't speak, could only nod and cry, and feel something like purpose blooming in her chest. That evening, they attended the charity gala Kong had insisted they not cancel. Ashalugo wore red, bold, unapologetic, the color of survival. Every eye in the room tracked her entrance. She prepared remarks, practiced them 100 times. But when she reached the microphone, the script disappeared. 3 years ago, I lost everything, she began, her voice carrying across the silent ballroom. My home, my family, my children. I slept in subway stations. I went days without eating. I wanted to die. The audience was riveted. Today, I stand before you not as a victim, but as someone who survived. And I'm using my voice to tell every person who's ever felt worthless, who's ever been spit on, who's ever been told they're nothing. Her voice strengthened. You are everything. You are worthy. And there is a life beyond the pain. The applause was deafening. Kong stood in the back, his expression fierce, with pride. When their eyes met across the room, he mouthed 3 words, that's my queen. In a jail cell across Seoul, Vado watched the gala coverage on a smuggled phone, the device shaking in his hands. He saw Ashalugo, radiant, powerful, surrounded by Seoul's elite who hung on her every word. He saw Kong Urizumaki beside her, the most dangerous man in the city, looking at her like she hung the moon. He saw everything he'd thrown away because he'd been too blind to see its value. The phone slipped from his fingers as guards approached for lights out. His cellmate, a man serving time for assault, kicked the device toward him one last time. That's the woman you spit on. The man laughed, incredulous. Brother, you didn't just ruin your life. You committed suicide and were too stupid to realize you were already dead. The lights went out. In the darkness, Vado finally understood the difference between having power and crossing someone who did. He would spend the rest of his life learning that lesson. But Ashalugo, she was already home, wrapped in silk sheets and the arms of a man who'd moved heaven and earth to prove she deserved them. She was no longer running from her past. She was standing on top of it, crowned in the life she'd fought like hell to build.